Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Of course, back here with Wayne. Want to do a cool video here talking about a lot of things other than tracing for COVID. Really the future kind of trace safe, tracking, but also tracing. Talking about future technology and how trace safe is going to be fitting into some different industries. First things first, Wayne, how are you?
Great, Jason. Thanks. How you doing?
Good, good. I know you're shooting there's video stuff going on in the background we were talking about before I hit record, so I know you're busy, but here getting a lot of questions. Of course, people talking about kind of the future for Trace Safe. Hey, we were tracking for COVID, and now what's happening going forward. Do you want to kind of give a general, I guess, overview of what your views are, and we'll talk about some different industries, how you guys are fitting in.
Sure. Yeah. So, before COVID came, the company was deeply involved in the med tech industry. So they were doing, infant monitoring and maternity wards, integrating into these hospitals, and all those types of settings. It really built a cloud infrastructure capable of tracking anything, and that goes, medical setting all the way to commercial settings and everything in between. The COVID was obviously an intense need, but the software itself is usable anywhere where there's kind of a wearable application. There's a technology component wherever you're trying to make life easier for people or patients or guests at a resort or anything like that. So we really see this COVID as being a catalyzing force, pushing us, pushing more wearables into our everyday life.
Yeah. Oh, got it for sure. And I think it's easy. Everyone can instantly think of, oh, maybe there's a, concert applications or there's, whatever other, like you said, resorts based applications. But I wanted to kind of chat, of course, about maybe the bigger picture. We were
Mhm.
chatting a little bit, walk me through some other kind of things we're looking at. I know there's, asset tracking I've seen, and I know you've talked about before very briefly what's happening there, but also kind of job sites. I know there's insurance companies now pushing things, wearables becoming more and more of kind of someone's everyday life. You want to talk about maybe a job site example and kind of paint some pictures for people?
Yeah, of course. So, I think we've got job sites, we've got medical applications. We're doing a bunch of pilots in different medical settings, whether it includes time and attendance or kind of new innovative approaches to managing patient flows inside of hospitals. Both exciting areas. But I think an example that most people can understand is on a job site. I think most people are familiar with job sites trying to set certain rules and regulations, and obviously being a little bit, there's the scale of the very professional job sites where everything is really by the book, and then all the way down to those areas where things are a little bit looser. And I think in the professionalized kind of mega building area, where the stakes are very high, the budgets are very high, and everything else. They have a lot of concerns around insurance, injuries, and other things throwing them off. You know, Obviously off schedule and disrupting the flow of business and everything else. So safety and job safety is a huge concern, and so we've been working with a bunch of job sites around the world to address a lot of these common things. So that would be, having wearables identify when someone is unauthorized to use a specific piece of heavy equipment, having wearables alert when there's a situation where, someone might be climbing too high without a specific rigging ticket or permitting or safety equipment. And then right down to like just general worker zoning rules around who can go into what areas are dangerous. And then finally, one of the places that's quite interesting is having sensors built into the heavy equipment. This goes for cranes, for back end loaders, all sorts of stuff, to basically have them communicate in their blind spots and maybe tell people in the direct vicinity when they may be in contact, and every one of those things incrementally increases the site safety on a job site, and really promotes expenses, saved expense, and increased productivity. So we're seeing those as big catalysts.
Yeah. No, we talked about obviously insurance and why companies would want to do it, why insurance companies would want to do it. So both of that, I know we did have a joke and kind of laugh before and saying, well, how many people do we see with harnesses even when they're above their 10 feet? Not many, but obviously with something that's maybe a little bit easier to put on and something that keeps people away, especially from an insurance standpoint, this would be great. And from a liability standpoint. So I think it's extremely interesting. And we talked about asset tracking. And I want to paint a picture. Let's say it's point A. Who cares where it is? As a box full of gold. I'm curious on, kind of how you think TraceSafe's technology could help someone delivering a box of gold from point A to point B. And of course, chat about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, we have really easy to deploy gateways that can be, used inside of vehicles, used inside of, different warehousing facilities or office environments anywhere. They can be connected through LTE, through sort of wireless signals, or through, wired, including wireless connections. And so if you have something where you need to know exactly where it is at all points of its journey, you can effectively set up a closed network for our services to either have that one device totally connected all the time, or have it pass through various checkpoints on its way to where it needs to go, so you can get those live updates. And this is something that can be deployed very, very quickly. It's something that's super reliable. And I think one of the interesting trends that's going on in the wake of COVID is that the demand for these types of chips has been extremely high. It's driven the price point lower, and it's made it so companies like Tracesafe could be potentially very disruptive from a pricing perspective. The solutions and technology things that we've developed to get prices down and get reliability up in a contact tracing sense has actually elevated the game in the asset tracking world, such that our products are being seen as vastly superior in
Wow.
both price and performance.
Yeah, wow. I was about to ask about kind of scaling and scalability, and I guess you're talking about it there. Obviously, COVID pushing things forward. You guys are getting cheaper chips, which is fantastic. Of course, makes it a little bit more sustainable for someone to buy. So that's fantastic. Curious. Obviously, talking about asset tracking. How scalable is it? I'm curious. The pharma industry always battling with fraud, and tons of industries like that are shipping products to different countries, whatever, dealing with, oh, is this product faked or not? Someone can just make some packaging but doesn't have the real product inside.
Mhm.
Curious how you would see kind of TraceSafe maybe fitting into an industry like that. Sorry to throw a curveball at you.
No, I think we're actually doing a webinar in conjunction with TELUS, talking about a lot of these interesting use cases. So really expanding that relationship and exploring the customer's needs for how we can, adapt our product to be super useful in all of these different use cases. One of the things that's happened, and I sort of alluded to this before, is that these products are now becoming very mainstream as far as mass adoption is concerned, meaning, there's not the same barriers to entry as there used to be, from the perspective of price, being price prohibitive. And then there's also a new era and new expectations around a lot of this stuff, around safety, around health, around delivering, and logistics. There's new expectations that are in the market. So if you combine the sort of new heightened expectations with a radical shift in accessibility, and then you have a company like TraceSafe that's able to deliver on both those things, it gives us very, very powerful opportunities in the market. So we're looking to go into all these new and interesting, exciting businesses, and yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, awesome. I'm sure. Obviously, we'll do a lot more of these videos talking about different industries as we get into them and things. Anything else just on the top of your head that you think, hey, this is an industry we haven't chatted about that, you actually think TraceSafe's technology could be a great, application? Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think the area that we're really interested in is human activity recognition. So having wearables on people opens up all sorts of doors. Obviously, you have to have a privacy first approach with these sort of things to make people trust the product. But once you unlock the ability to see what people are actually doing, the movements they're doing, you really unlock a lot of efficiencies in workplaces. You really unlock a lot of data to understand how and where people are being effective, how productive they are. And it really goes back to the employee well-being question. Like people being productive and useful at their jobs is pretty important. So that's an area where we're in our new wearables, we're building in chips that have the ability to capture this type of information, and we're looking for interesting and unique ways to apply that information throughout the industry. So that's going to be one of the most exciting growth areas, I think, in our business.
Okay, exciting. Well, good little teaser there. That's pretty much it for me. Anything else you wanted to cover?
No, that's everything. Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
awesome. Well, cool. Anyone who has questions, maybe some different industries, tech stuff that you want, of course, Wayne to comment on outside of COVID and tracing, let us know. We'll try and get it in a future video. But Wayne, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Jason.